Hey team, Blake Sargent here. Today I'm going to share with you some tips on how to build your dream practice. And more specifically, one of the first steps of how to build your dream practice. And really that first step is about having a vision. So as usual, look, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to make some notes for you as we go along. But yeah, how do we create a vision? How do we hug the bear and build your dream practice? So what's the first step of having our dream practice? The first step of having a dream practice is actually knowing what that dream practice looks like. So here's the analogy we use. We say, look, if you wanted to build your dream house, who would be the first person you would hire? And the correct answer is not the builder. You hire the architect first, right? So the battle is won in the architect phase. It's where we decide, okay, well, what do we want it to look? If I were to build our dream house, how many rooms do we want? Is it a bungalow? Is it 2 stories? Is it 3 stories? Does it have a basement? Is it modern? Is it old school? Is it made of wood? What does it actually look like? Because until we can actually decide what we actually want to build, it's stupid to start building it, right? Imagine this, you turn up on site every day and you just go, right, let's just lay some bricks. Yeah, but what are we building? Doesn't matter. As long as we work hard and as long as we keep going, it'll all work out in the end. No, you're going to build an absolute mess, right? And whether it's a healthcare practice or any business, actually, we've got to start with this. We've got to start with creating the vision for what we want to achieve. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So we've got to stay in the architect mindset and we go, before we start building, let's first plan what we want in advance. And then let's become really intentional about how we make that happen. So that we can turn up on site every day and actually lay bricks in the right place, knowing that we're actually going to build something we really, really want. There's some psychological reasons why this is so important as well. Because having a vision is looking to the future, okay? And that's one way of motivating ourselves, right? We look at the future and we point, we go, I want that. And it draws us to that. And that provides motivation, And the other form of motivation is where we look behind us and we go, I don't want that. I want to avoid that. I want to avoid pain. And I want to move towards that. I want pleasure. And every marketer who's worth their weight in, knows this in history, that, there are two major drivers that create human behavior. We either move away from pain or we move towards pleasure. And the more powerful driver is to move away from pain, which is why marketers use it the whole time. They tell you about the pain and you go, oh, I better avoid that. And so there's a problem with that. There's a problem with being motivated by moving away from something. Moving away from something might be this, right? The reason I want to build my dream practice is because I don't want to be broke. I don't want to always be working. I don't want to miss out with time with my family. So we end up living our life in the rear view mirror because we're going, my reason for moving forward is to get away from that stuff behind me. We want to flip that. And we want to start moving towards what we want rather than moving away from what we don't want. And it's so important that there's the psychology behind this is really, really important. And this is where the bear comes into it. So imagine you're in the woods and you come across a bear and for a moment you're frozen and you go, oh crap. And your only motivation in that moment is you want to get away from it. Now, this isn't a public health warning thing. Apparently, when you see a bear, you've got to stand still. I don't really know what the real protocol is, but if I came across a bear, I'd want to run in the opposite direction. So that's what I'm going with. So you see a bear in the woods and you go, survival. I want to, avoid pain, getting eaten by a bear. So I've got to go and I've got to run. And so I start running and I am highly motivated. And I'm making progress. I'm highly motivated because I want to get away from the bear. I want to get away from the pain. I want to get from the bad things. I want to avoid this. This is my motivation is avoiding. And so I run, and I'm going super fast. I'm sprinting. But as time goes on and I get further and further away from the bear, the motivation slows. Now I'm away from the bear. I'm like, whew, okay, cool. I'm alive. Yep. Okay. I'm all in one piece. I'm away from the bear. And we go, I'm safe. I've avoided the pain. But then you go, yeah, but where the hell am I? Because you weren't running towards something, you're running away from something. So then we find ourselves in a part of the forest and we go, well, I didn't plan to be here. How the hell did I get here? And the reason I got here was because my only motivation was to avoid the bear, but I didn't run in it because I could have run in any direction to get away from the bear. And this is what happens in business, it's what happens in life. When we don't have something clear to aim for, we end up losing motivation and we end up somewhere that we never planned to be, wondering how the hell we ever got there. So this is why having a vision is so important. I'm going to show you how to create one for your practice. The psychology between avoiding pain and aim towards pleasure. So we want to aim towards pleasure. So again, we can't build something, we can't have our dream practice unless we first know what it looks like. Now, if you look at some thought leaders of the time, you look at, say, Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. He also wrote The Road to Riches. He also wrote Outwitting the Devil, really good book, bit out there, but pretty cool. And he studied over 25 years, 30 years, I think, all of the successful people at the time. And he was commissioned to do this by Andrew Carnegie. And he came up with the recipe of, look, this is what successful people do. And it's still an incredible book, Think and Grow Rich. And one of the key pieces he talks about is definiteness of purpose. Every single person he studied who had become very successful within their field had definiteness of purpose. What that means is they were clear on what they were trying to achieve. Again, that's the difference between having a blueprint of this is the house I'm building versus turning up every day on site and just laying some bricks willy-nilly, hoping it's going to turn into your dream house. You know, I heard another story. I can't verify if this is 100% true, but this is in the earlier days when with Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. And one of the first times they were interviewed together, the interviewer said, you know, look, what's the key to your success, guys? You know, can you write it down on a bit of paper? And so Bill Gates does this, Warren Buffett does this, and they turn over the piece of paper at the same time. And they both have exactly the same thing written on each bit of paper. And it's just one word. And the word was focus. So they got clear on what they want and they said, and they focused. You know, if you think about it, there's a reason why pro athletes don't play 10 different sports. They pick one, they focus. We need to pick a vision, we need to focus, and we need to have definiteness of purpose, and we need to show up each day with intention, being clear on what we're actually there to do. What are we actually aiming as business owners to actually build? What does the blueprint look like? What do we want to aim towards? What's the thing drawing us? Not avoiding this. What's the thing drawing us? What's the brightness of our future? So that's what I'm going to show you how to do right now for a practice. Now, you'll see in here, hang on, look, there are 5 P's that make up a practice model. Okay, if the vision is the destination of the journey we want to go to, then the model is the vehicle we use to get ourselves there. And some vehicles can't get us to where we want to go. Like a super bike gets you somewhere very fast, but there's only one seat or two, but it's pretty uncomfy. And it can get you very fast, but it can't get you very far. Keep got to refueling. If you want to have a break, you've got to, if you want to break, you've got to stop and pause, and everything grinds to a halt. Whereas things like a camper van or a luxury coach, they can go long distance. So we've actually got to pick the right vehicle. Part of having the right vision is also understanding that the vehicle that will allow us to get there. And there are 5 P's that make up a practice model. Here we go. I'll show you on a different thing. Look. So there's the property, the people, i.e. the practitioners and the admin team. There's the products that we offer, the prices, and the patients. These are the 5 P's that make up a practice model. And we've got to understand how these work together to be able to build the vehicle that'll get us to the destination we want. So these are the 5 areas we're going to work with as I walk you through how to create a vision for your practice. Then when we create the vision, then we can wake up every day and go, I know what I'm trying to build. Get rid of that. In fact, let's make a note as we go. So, in the terms of psychology, we call it towards motivation versus away from motivation. So this is why I say hug the bear, because it's not about running away from the bear. It's about making peace with the bear, or hugging the bear, metaphorically speaking. Hug the bear, but then go and chase your vision. Make peace with the bear, go, it's all right. Now I'm off to have my vision. This important definiteness of purpose and focus. Right. And then the 5 P's. Right. All right, so let's build on that. Now let's look at how we work out what a practice will look like. We're going to go in here. We're going to go vision. Right. Boom. So actually, I'm going to show you this one first. I'm just going to show you a completed version first. This is an example. This is an example of some clinic visions, because I've got the 5 P's down here. So just forget this stuff for the moment. Okay. All of you have a property. Maybe you rent a room, maybe you have a 5-room clinic, whatever, it doesn't really matter. First thing we do is we look, what is the current reality? So how many rooms, how many rooms do you have? How many sites? How many admin team? Maybe this is 0, doesn't really matter. Just put down the reality of what you have. So maybe 1 admin team, but if they're only working 2.5 days a week, they're the equivalent of full-time. So we've got 1 body, but the full-time equivalent is 0.5. Same with clinical team. Maybe it's just you. That's 1 clinical team member, and that's full-time equivalent of 1 person. The owner's turning over 100%. This is how many patients we're seeing a month. This is the average spend. This is the monthly turnover. So this gives us the yearly turnover. This is just a snapshot of perhaps what a vision practice might look like. And you see, as long as we've only got 1 room, there's limited amount that we could do, but we can optimize what we've got. So if you're in this scenario where you're 1 person in 1 room, we go, okay, well, what's the vision? The first vision is, how do we optimize what we've got? And then we can look at, okay, beyond that, once we've optimized it, what does the dream practice look like? How do we plan for that? And I'll show you how to do that in a sec. But so we want to come in here and tweak the numbers for our 12-month vision. What does it look like optimized? Do we still want to be in the same property, i.e. 1 room, 1 site? Do we still need the same team, or do we need a bit more admin support? And what about the amount of appointments that we need each month? Let's say a full-timer, let's say we're doing half-hour appointments, a full-time person seeing 10 people a day, half-hour appointments, 5 days a week, 50 people. That's 200 a month. With an average spend of £55, is a monthly turnover of about 11,000. Okay, so see how we can actually start going, if I clicked my fingers and fast forwarded 12 months, and everything in my practice was exactly like I wanted it to be. What would that look like? So now you might be in like a, let's say, a 3-room clinic. Let's look here on this side, right? Let's say you're in a 3-room clinic. And currently, this would be 3 rooms in one site. You've got 1 admin who's full-time. You've got 2 practitioners, the clinical team, and they're both full-time. And this is how many appointments you're seeing a month. So if we start working with a practice like this, we go, okay, well, what's the vision? What do you want the practice to look like in 12 months? And then we help them walk through this, and we go, well, look, with the property you have, we can't just suddenly go, well, I want £1 million. People like to guess their vision. They go, I go, well, what next? You go, well, I'd like to double it. I'm like, okay, cool. So how does that look like? If we were to double it, what would specifically need to happen across these 5 Ps? What would specifically need to happen for you to be able to double your practice? Do we need more team members, or could we do it with the existing team members? Is it that we need more patients, or is it that we need to improve our average spend? Because there's really not that many levers in a practice that we can change to actually make the outcome better than we want, than we currently have. We're either going to focus, we either need to move into a bigger property that gives us more capacity. We either need to make a change of the team that we have, i.e. if you're a 1-person band, that's always going to limit you. And so we go, well, do you want a team or do you not? But ultimately, if you don't have a team, you're always going to hit a glass ceiling, always. And I guess just from our side, like most people we work with are the people who want to transform their job to a business. So that's part and parcel of it. It's a case of, can you help me build a team? Because I understand if it's just me, then I can actually never take it that far. I'll always be on the super bike, and it's fast, but it's never going to take me long distance. Please help show me how to build, a vehicle like a luxury coach where I don't actually even have to drive. And it actually doesn't really need to stop. It can go much further distances. And actually, it's a lot of fun on the coach, right? Because we get to hang out with a bunch of people. We get to hang out with a team. So it's either going to be the property. It's either going to be you need to make a shift in people, something to do with patient numbers, or the prices and products, i.e., the average spend. So we've got to start identifying, and, we've got to start identifying in advance, like the architect mindset, well, what do we actually want? So you can see how this 3-room practice here, if we optimized it and we set an intentional vision looking forward with focus and definiteness of purpose, going, that's what I want. We realize that actually look, 1 more hire here, with an increase in appointments, which seems like a big jump, but bearing in mind 600 appointments is 200 per practitioner per month, which if they're 20 or 30-minute appointments is totally possible. We look at an average spend of 60, which gives us a total monthly turnover of 36,000. I know we work with tons of businesses that have this exact or very close to this this setup, but a lot of them start here. And unless we first set the vision, then the danger is when we're in a place like this, we go, well, I just work harder. I'll just try stuff and I'll work harder, and then hopefully it'll all work out. No, first start with what you want, create the vision. What, is the property right? What people do you need in place? How many patients do you need, and what average spend? Like, what's the snapshot? So as you can see, where did I lose it to? Here we go. This is why one of the first things we get people to go through, we go, what's the reality right now? We've got to know some basic numbers. Then you've got to go out and go, well, what if I could click my fingers, fast forward 12 months and deliver your dream practice? What do you want? And then beyond that, 3 to 5 years, we have a 2-part vision. We have the 12-month vision. We've got a 3 to 5 year vision. But you see how it's relatively simple to do. It requires that we understand some of the numbers that drive our practice. Of course, numbers is the language of business. We've got to understand that. But it's also not that hard to set a vision, but it's so powerful, absolutely essential. So let me do this. Make another note for you. Let's do this. So start with current reality. Then we're going to do a 12-month vision. Then we're going to go do longer term, 3 to 5 year vision. Bingo. Okay. Right. So I'm going to leave you with this. Hopefully you understand that if we want our future and our business to look like we want it to, we first got to work out what we want it to look like. All right. Rather than just showing up every day on site, laying bricks willy-nilly, we've got to get very intentional, have focus, have definiteness of person, hug the bear, and aim for the vision. So the jokey way I like to say it to people is, you know, Santa sent me to come and have a chat with you. And I'm an elf, but I've got an L plate on here, which says, look, I'm just an elf. I'm learning, right? I'm an elf in training, you know, and normally you'd be able to ask Santa what you wanted, you know, a month or so before Christmas, but because I'm not very good, I've come to you a year early. And if you tell me now what you want, I'll give it to you at Christmas, but you got to tell me now. So imagine we're beginning of January, right? Because I like that 12-month block. Imagine it's the beginning of January and I knock on your door as an elf in training. Tell me what you want your practice to look like, and Santa promises you he'll deliver it for you at Christmas. You know, so what team do you need in place? What property? How many patients and what average spend? You know, go through the 5 Ps. When you can answer that question, then you can become intentional about building your dream practice. So there we go. Go hug the bear, build your dream practice. Hope that helps. Bye, guys. Bye.